Hello and welcome to this online briefing all about the sports premium funding, the updated safe practice guidance and other new PE, school sport and physical activity news. My name's Jess Squires and I'm the Teaching and Learning Consultant for PE for Lancashire County Council. So as we know, the Department for Education want all our children to have equal access to high quality PE, school sport and physical activity. We should all be aiming to offer at least 2 hours of PE a week in curriculum time, complemented by a wide range of extracurricular sport and competitive opportunities. This will absolutely help improve children's health, well-being and really importantly their personal development, as well as help with their academic achievement. So as we know, this year we are getting our PE and sports premium funding. It will be around the £16,000 mark, and already you've had the first instalment, the 7/12ths in November. The remaining 5/12ths will be sent to schools in the new financial year in April. This year, the funding must be used to make additional and sustainable improvements to your existing PE, school sport and physical activity offer. But what's really important is that you use the funding to build capacity and capability so that pupils joining your school in future years will benefit from this investment. So we do know we have the funding for this academic year. We have not had an announcement about next academic year. However, we do believe that whilst the curriculum review is taking place, then hopefully the funding will stay in place also. But we do await clarification of that. What's really important in this year's updated guidance is that governors and trustees in an academy trust are responsible for monitoring the PE and sport premium spending. So that means that our governors and trustees must ensure they follow the conditions of grant. Gov.uk have released 2 documents, the conditions of grant and the guidance documents, both of which can be found on gov.uk and both of which I will put on the LPDS PE subject leader page on our website. It is absolutely vital that you are compliant with the rules set out in those grant conditions. You must ensure that the spending and whatever you spend it on at your school represents good value for money. And really importantly this year, and we're going to have to do this on an online digital reporting platform in July, we will have to evaluate the impact of the spend on our pupils. So when we are spending on our children, there must be some form of measurable account that we can do to ensure that the funding has had impact. So when you're thinking about your PE and sports funding, think about how it fits into your whole school improvement plan. So how can we improve the quality of teaching of PE? How can we assist in those transferable life skills? Resilience, empathy, cooperation, communication, all those types of things that we need in everyday life. Can we think about the impact PE might have on other whole school priorities? So for example, is behaviour an issue? Do you have children with poor focus and attention? Children that are struggling to sit on the carpet or sit on a chair? So how can we use PE as a vehicle to really help raise standards in other subjects? Also, how can we use PE to maximise social development, really thinking about children's communication and language, teamwork and how they work with other children. And then their well-being. How can we use PE and sport to really make sure children's mental health and well-being is there? So we've always got our 5 key areas that we are going to spend on. And when thinking about our 5 key areas, please consider, do your children take part in the 60 minutes of physical activity every day? How are you offering that at your school? So break times, lunch times, after school clubs, brain breaks, morning club, breakfast club, active lessons, all the different things that you can put into the school day to get that 60 minutes. And that's on top of the children's PE. So we should be aiming for 2 hours of PE a week plus 60 minutes of physical activity every day. Is your school using the funding to offer a wide range of sports and physical activities? So there you might want to get in touch with your school games organiser and ask them what sports and activities that they can offer that might be something different that your children may not have done before. Also look to the wider community and your club links for that. And how do you encourage all your pupils to take part in competitive sport? So our school games organisers, who are now confirmed to be in position until March 26, are doing all they can to offer and entice you to their competitions and events. So please ensure that all children at your school get to represent your school at a competition. We also need to think about children meeting the minimum national curriculum requirements for swimming, and it's for all pupils to leave school meeting those minimum national requirements. So we can use our funding for top-up swimming. So if we've got any year 5s and 6s that have completed the core curriculum swimming and haven't met those national curriculum requirements, then we can use the funding for that top-up swimming. And then the profile of PE and sport, is it being promoted within your school? So is it promoted on your social media pages? Are achievements recognised? Do you have celebration assemblies? All those types of things. So the focus of your funding this year, just like last, should be staff CPD. Your funding use has to have a sustainable impact, and one of the most important ways of having sustainable impact is your school staff. So making sure your school staff are as knowledgeable and as upskilled as possible is absolutely vital. So please ensure for all school staff, whether they're an experienced teacher, an early careers teacher, or whether they are a HLT or teaching assistant who are assisting in the delivery of PE, please ensure that they have had the relevant CPD. Governing bodies should this year be monitoring of the quality of that CPD that schools are providing. And it is really important that it's fit for purpose. Please make sure that your school uses an established, quality assured, local, regional and national provider. So this information that I'm sharing with you is all from the gov.uk, from the Department for Education. So it is absolutely vital that if you are attending CPD, it is by somebody who is quality assured. So ourselves at LPDS have put on a whole array of courses this year to assist with that. They are all bookable via the LPDS website. Here are just a sample, a selection of the courses that we are offering in PE this year. Any of the courses with the title New To have been specifically designed for ECTs. So our New To range are really useful for those teachers who may have only had a short amount of training whilst training to be a teacher. You might have to do more specialised courses. So we run a high quality gymnastics course because many teachers will not have had appropriate gymnastics training within their teaching. So it's really important that you continue on that CPD pathway. I can also offer insets and consultancies and come into your school. So if you've got a whole school focus, it might be more beneficial to have a whole class inset rather than staff attending a course. But do please be aware that the focus of the funding is staff CPD. So some changes from the grant conditions that I'd just like to bring to your attention is that it now tells us that every school has the autonomy to draft their own employment contracts. So if you're appointing new staff, teachers, teaching assistants, welfare, whoever it might be at your school, you could put in your advert that it would be desirable if they could offer extracurricular sporting activities or could accompany children to attend competitions outside of school hours. You can then decide whether you want to use your sports premium funding to pay for overtime if this is operating outside of their teaching contract. So that might be, for example, your PE subject leader who has to go to quite a lot of competitions. They might be attending a school games competition. It might be a tournament that goes on for a considerable amount of time after school. So it might have a 6:30 finish. So you could use the funding to pay overtime to those members of staff that have done that. Please just be aware though, it would have to be paid at the scale that they are working at. So it might be more beneficial for you at school to ask a TA to take the children rather than somebody who, for example, could be on UPS 3. Just be aware though, is that sustainable moving forward? So if the funding were to cease, what would happen next year? Would staff members still accompany children to competitions and events? But that decision is absolutely there for you to take. We can also use the sports premium this year for transport. So we can absolutely use it for coach transport for top-up swimming sessions. So we cannot use it for core curriculum swimming sessions that must come out of the core school budget, but we can use it for top-up swimming session coach transport. We absolutely can use it for coach transport to competitive events, if that's during the day or after the school day. And that could be a coach, it could be a minibus, it could be a taxi, and more schools are using taxis, minibus style taxis, to transport their children as the soaring costs of coach transport keep rising. And we could use it for extracurricular opportunities if you wanted to access other sporting activities that might be off-site or specialist sport instruction. So the grant conditions tell us this year exactly what we cannot use the funding for, and we cannot use it for goods below the de minimis value. Now, your local authority or academy trust will have set a de minimis value, so it would be worth asking your bursar or financial auditor what the de minimis value is and making sure that you are not spending above that. We cannot use our sports funding for employing coaches or specialist teachers for PPA time. We never could, and they are reiterating that this year, that payment would have to come out of your core staffing budget. And we cannot use the funding to teach the minimum requirements of the national curriculum. So that's why we can't use it for core swim lessons, because that is a national curriculum requirement. We cannot use the funding for staff salaries. So we cannot use it for a PE specialist to come to our school and pay their wage through that. That would have to come out of your core staffing budget. We cannot buy services that will be delivered or used in following academic years, and that was a change in the guidance that has been released at the end of October. And we cannot use it to purchase staff or, and they've added this year, pupil PE kit. That isn't a sustainable use of the spending, so we are not to use it on that. They do go into a little bit more information about what capital expenditure could include. So we cannot use it to build multi-games areas or daily mile tracks. We cannot use it for forest school environments and trim trails. We cannot buy a vehicle with the funding. We cannot buy fixed playground equipment, and we can't use trophy cabinets or similar. They continue to talk more about capital expenditure and what that would look like, and I will let you read that in your own time. But what we can use it for, hurrah, is that we can use the grant to maintain existing assets. So if you had a daily mile track and the surface of it needed looking at, you could use your funding to maintain that asset. So you could have a look at your surface and get that repaired. You could use your funding for playground markings. So if you've got line markings that are disappearing and you might want to get them redone, you can use it for that. So if it's maintaining a current asset, you could. You might have a trim trail where the ropes are broken. We could use the funding to replace the rope, but we couldn't replace the whole trim trail. So it's just maintaining your current assets. Again, if you're unsure, speak to your financial auditor about that. Now, the big change for this year is the accountability and reporting. So when it comes to accountability and reporting, schools are absolutely accountable for how they use the PE and sports premium funding. But this current government needs to see that the funding is having impact for it to continue in future academic years. So the decision has been made this year that as part of the role of governor and academy trustees, they will be responsible for monitoring the spend at your school. So it is absolutely vital that your governor is part of the action planning and auditing of your sports funding. To help with this, the National Governance Association have produced a monitoring tool document which you can access, so the governor can go through the action plan and audit what the school has spent the funding on. So it's absolutely vital when looking at your funding, it is done in conjunction with governor, head teacher and PE subject leader. All three would then sign the action plan to say this is a true and just account of what we have spent our funding on. And it is absolutely vital that all three parties are in agreement that it follows the conditions of grant. Any schools, local authorities and academy proprietors all must follow the grant conditions. Anybody who fails to comply with these terms will receive in writing a letter from the Secretary of State, and you may be required to repay all or part of the premium, or you may be withheld from future payments. Now, to help with the reporting, this year they are asking schools to complete the online digital reporting tool. This will be mandatory, and this will have to be done by the 31st of July. So on our school websites right now, we should have our action plan. So it could be the red evidence in the impact action plan or this year's blue evaluation, which we will have a look at in a moment. So that should be live on your website right now. By the 31st of July, you will have completed the mandatory online digital reporting tool. When you have completed the online digital reporting tool, you will then be able to download a report that you will then put on your school website. So we'll have an action plan on our websites now. In July, we'll complete the online digital reporting tool. Then we will download that report and put that back onto our websites for July the 31st. It's really important to note there is to be no carryover. So when you complete your online digital reporting tool, you will be tallying up and totaling to the penny how much you've spent, what you've spent it on, the measurable impact that you can see with the use of that funding, and then any underspend will have to be sent back to the Secretary of State. So all funding that you receive this year, 7/12 in October, remaining 5/12 in April, are for this academic year and this academic year only. It all must be accounted for and spent by the 31st of July. The digital reporting tool is due to go live in May or June. Some schools may have trialled it last academic year. So you are going to have to put on the digital reporting tool the figures of your spend. So what have you spent on? You'll then have to state the impact, whether there's been any unspent funding, and the water and swimming safety attainment. All that information will go on that online digital reporting tool. The DFE are going to release guidance in the summer term and webinars to support schools with completing this mandatory digital reporting tool. As we've already said, it is absolutely vital you are compliant. So any spending must meet the conditions of grant, and the governor, head teacher and PE subject leader all must be in agreement that you are compliant and following the conditions of grant. Now, the big change for this year is that once you have received the funding, and we already have received the 7/12, because you've taken that into your school account, you are now saying, and you have to state, that your financial accounts will be open for inspection. So this is the first year that they have stated this. So all school accounts and any other documents relating to your accounts about the PE and sports funding spend will be open to inspection. So it's absolutely this year being as transparent as possible as you can with that spend. The government need to see impact with the spending. So they need to see if this money is to continue, it's having the right impact at school. So they're absolutely tightening up, and quite rightly so, on our spending habits and what we're using it for to make sure it's having that maximum impact. So on gov.uk are all the guidance documents that you need. So there is the guidance and there are the conditions of grant. I will also put a link to those on the LPDS website. So it's totally your choice, whatever works best for you. As I say, I like the red one because the questions in the back, all the data is what's going to be on that online digital reporting tool. So please make sure you read the conditions of grant and the grant conditions. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. So moving on, I just wanted to bring your attention to the fact that the new Safe Practice Guidance is now live. This is an online only resource. There are to be no print runs of the books. That is because this will be updated termly. So it's updated autumn, spring and summer. You must ensure that we at school are following current suggested guidance and practice. In here, in the booklet itself, which is online, it has lots of different sections, many of which are very, very useful to us at school. The new Safe Practice Guidance is purchased by going onto the AFB website, the Association for PE website, and creating an account, and then you can access it online. It is slightly tricky the first time to find where it is, and AFB have done a webinar to help you locate and access the resource for the first time. Again, if you're struggling to find how to access it once you've purchased it, don't hesitate to get in touch and I'll help you. Once you've done it once, it's really easy. The book is very different this year and it's in 10 chapters. Lots of really useful information in there, and I am running a number of safe practice update courses, either online or face-to-face, all bookable through the LPDS website. So it would be really useful for head teachers, governors and PE subject leaders to ensure that they know what is the current suggested practice nationally. Chapter 2 has teaching safely. And chapter 3, Good Teaching is Safe Teaching, has lots of information there about staff recruitment, about who can teach PE. I'm going to bring some of that up for you in a minute. Chapter 4, really useful, equality, diversity and inclusion. Lots of information in there about children with SEND, about cultural and religious beliefs. So lots and lots of information in there. Chapter 5, they have gone back to activity-specific guidance. So if you wanted information about, for example, hockey, you could go to the hockey section where you would learn about when shin pads and mouth guards are required. Chapter 7 is new, first aid, defibs and sun safety, plus weather in that chapter as well. And chapter 8 is the new concussion, the new National Concussion Guidance. So if a child has had a knock to the head, it talks about in there safe return to activity and how often they should be doing the activity. Chapter 9, really useful for all our sporting fixtures, competitions, etc. In there's lots of information also about transport, about using coaches, minibuses, taxis, parents, all that type of information is in there. And chapter 10 is all about teaching safety. So there's some of our swim and water safety information is in that chapter also. So 10 really useful chapters. They have this week released downloads from certain parts of this. So for example, there is a PE policy in here, and they have made that available as a download. Because we've got new safe practice guidance, that does mean we will have to update our PE policies. So there is a guidance PE policy that you can edit and change to meet the needs of your school. So really, really useful. So it is the ultimate national guide to safe practice in PE, school sport and physical activity. It has been written in partnership with over 70 national governing bodies and professional partners. So it is absolutely best practice guidance. There's risk management information in there and a whole array of risk assessments. There's legal compliance. In each section, there's a Q&A followed by case law. There's really good professional development in there. And as I already mentioned, there is a PE policy for you to edit and amend. So in here, there's a lot of discussion about competency to teach PE. So we know that when teachers are qualified, they can theoretically teach any area of PE. But it is really, really important to understand that staff may need continued CPD after they have qualified as a teacher. So it is really important that if staff do not feel confident in delivering a certain aspect of PE, that they go to the head teacher, make that known, and then they can have some CPD to get their subject knowledge up to an appropriate level. Visiting sports coaches must have a minimum of a level 2 in the area of PE that they are delivering, and it must go through a period of observation. That is the same whether it is for curriculum time or for an extracurricular club. It's a minimum requirement of that level 2. Okay. So there's lots of information within the book about the minimum operating standards and what it should be that we're looking for. We should complete the coach induction guidance. We have a Lancashire version, again, which is on our LPDS website and that you can use for prior to the coach working with us, then in that period of induction, then when they're being monitored by a class teacher. So it's really important that we follow that procedure when we're using coaches, whether it's in curriculum or extracurricular. So it is absolutely vital that our teaching staff have CPD to ensure that PE, school sport and physical activity is sustainable moving forwards. So lots of trainee teachers might only have somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of PE training. So it is absolutely vital that there is a planned CPD pathway for all staff at your school. Please ensure the funding is being used to upskill your staff whilst the funding is in place, so that all our teachers and HLTAs and teaching assistants and whoever else in the workforce that might be delivering PE is as upskilled as possible. So we have a whole array of CPD courses, and in Lancashire we also offer the level 5 PE specialism on behalf of Sports Leaders UK. So if you have any HLTAs that are covering PPA time, it could be really useful for them to do the level 5. Similarly, if you have any teachers who are interested in becoming a PE subject leader, that level 5 is also a really useful way for them to get as upskilled as possible. We enrol every September for the academic year for the level 5 course. So if you're interested in that, please do let me know and I can give you more information. So can HLTAs deliver and cover PE? And the answer is absolutely. It's always up to the head teacher. So if the head teacher is satisfied that that HLTA is competent to teach a lesson and that they have a planned CPD pathway in place and that they are supervised sufficiently, they have a period of observation and they are supported, then it is absolutely fine for a HLTA to deliver PE. It would be really, really beneficial if they had their level 5 specialism course. So after each section in the safe practice guidance, there is frequently asked questions, and a lot of those are from Lancashire head teachers. I submitted quite a lot of them. So there's a frequently asked questions section where you might find answers to earrings, blue mats, all those types of things that you might have questions about. And then there is case law, which is really useful. So a really useful document. Please ensure that your PE subject leader, head teacher and governor have a copy, have accessed it online and have been through it and selected what's appropriate at their school. So just to finish off finally is just to let you know that we added on the Max Whitlock gymnastics to the Lancashire PE passport scheme of work. This isn't just a bolt-on of lesson plans. This is CPD for your staff. And as we've already had a term, it's now been reduced to £175 for the remainder of the academic year. So if you have any members of staff who lack confidence in delivering gymnastics, it's really, really useful to use the Max Whitlock gymnastics because there is video support, very clear lesson planning. It's been very successful and very well received within our schools. So again, if you'd like to add that on, it's great value CPD, £175, so it's brilliant. And finally, the last thing just to inform you about is the WOW Challenge. So Living Street, who run the WOW, the Walk to School initiative, are currently looking for more schools to work with. And it's fully funded. It will not cost the school a penny. So if you have traffic issues and congestion outside your school and you would like to help do something about that, it is absolutely vital you get in touch with the WOW team who will be able to come and help you. So they'll be able to do walk to school days, school to school days, and it's an ongoing partnership. So if you start the WOW project, they can support you in the future. So if you need things like line marking, one way happening, it's starting that partnership with the WOW team to really help congestion at your school gates. So as I say, it's fully funded, it's free to you. The children get little badges, my daughter gets them. So if they walk to school a number of times, they get a little badge to wear. And it's brilliant for really helping ease traffic congestion, but more importantly, for getting your children healthier and happier by being active on the way to school. And it's a lot more sustainable. So if you'd like more information, either get in touch there, as you can see the email address, walktoschool@livingstreets.org.uk, or email me and I will pass your details on to the team. I hope you've enjoyed that short briefing. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. The slides and supporting links will be on the LPDS website for you to share. I'm always there at the end of an email, so if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.